A game can justify its price of admission in many different ways, but of course the easiest one to quantify, and the one that, as such, gets discussed the most, is length and amount of content on offer. If you're the sort that loves to get as many hours of gameplay from your games as possible, there have been more than a few games in 2022 so far, and have done so quite well in fact. Here, we're going to take a look at a few such single-player games that we got quite a bit of playtime out of. Let's begin with what's probably the most obvious pick: Elden Ring. Calling Elden Ring massive simply doesn't do it justice. This is a game that redefines the word massive, or the very concept of scale and scope. Its world is one that keeps on getting larger and larger, and given the excellent level of quality the game consistently maintains, you're always motivated to keep on exploring further. Those looking to get through to the ending can play through Elden Ring in about 50 hours, which is a sizable experience in and of itself, but this is the sort of game that you could easily play for twice or thrice that long and still not get sick of it. Horizon Forbidden West. The other big open-world RPG of the year, and the one that launched merely days before the aforementioned Elden Ring, and sure, maybe that close proximity to From Software's widely praised game has sort of overshadowed Horizon Forbidden West a little bit, but that should take nothing away from how good it is in its own right. A huge part of that experience is the sheer size of the game, both in terms of the pure real estate of its map, and how densely it's packed full of well-designed, varied, addictive content. Sticking to the golden path will see you rolling credits on the game in probably around 30 hours, but if you're looking to spend a total of as much as even 60 to 80 hours on Horizon Forbidden West, there's still enough here to keep you occupied. Triangle Strategy. Triangle Strategy has flown under the radar in some ways, but those who have played it will tell you that it's perhaps far better than most had expected it would be. The turn-based tactics RPG is the sort of game that not only has a healthy amount of content on offer, but is genuinely good enough to make you want to experience all of that content. A single playthrough of the game can be meaty enough, as it's over 30 hours in length, but given the choice and consequence mechanics, if you want to see everything and also get the best ending, you can easily spend up to 100 hours in this game. Pokémon Legends Arceus. That a Pokémon game is addictive and can compel you to sink dozens of hours into it shouldn't be surprising, but that's just the state the series has been in recent years. In January, however, Pokémon Legends Arceus came along and offered something completely different and, as a result, something far better than anything we've seen from the series in years. That's why it's so easy to just get lost in Hisui and its untamed wilds, exploring all the regions, filling out your Pokédex, completing side quests, diving into the endgame. If you end up doing all of it, and more, you can easily clock in over 50 hours. Even if you just want to stick to the main story though, you're still looking at a playthrough lasting between 25 to 30 hours. Dying Light 2 Stay Human. Exactly how much content Dying Light 2 will have on offer became something of a hot topic of discussion when, before its launch, Techland started throwing out massive numbers to hype up the game's size. Dying Light 2 is a big game to say the very least, and while some might be turned off by just how big and dense it can be, open world fatigue is a real enough thing for no few people. Those who want that kind of stuff from their open world RPGs will find plenty to love. This is a game with a few rough edges, sure, but those who fall in love with its core loop of parkour and first-person combat can easily sink well over 50 hours into its post-apocalyptic offerings. Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. It's not surprising in the slightest that a Monster Hunter game has made it into a list such as this one. Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak adds a healthy chunk of new content, if not quite as much as the base game. Sure, it's not on the same level as what Capcom added to Monster Hunter World with Iceborne, but there's still a lot of new content on offer here. The main campaign itself is over 30 hours in length, and as is the case with anything Monster Hunter, the repeatable nature of the game and the in-game content on offer can combine for dozens upon dozens more hours beyond that. Rogue Legacy 2. This one was a bit of an obvious choice. The wait for Rogue Legacy 2 has been a long one, but thankfully, not only is the game good enough to justify that wait, it also delivers a truckload of bang for your buck in terms of content. It's a roguelike, of course, so that shouldn't come as a surprise. The inherently repeatable nature of the game, the slick combat and platforming, the flexibility offered by the different ways to go about playing, all of this and more ensures that Rogue Legacy 2 is a game that, much like its predecessor, can easily deliver dozens upon dozens of hours of obsessive, addictive, unforgettable gameplay. LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. How much time you'll get out of LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga can frankly vary wildly based on how you approach the game. If you're just in it for the casual romp through LEGO-fied recreations of all 9 mainline Star Wars films, you might get anywhere between 20 to 30 hours. But of course, this is a game that's dense and overflowing with content crammed into every nook and cranny that's just begging you to give it a go. Once you go down that surprisingly addictive rabbit hole, LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga becomes a much longer game. Weird West. Weird West is a classic immersive sim in that it's the sort of game you can't help but eventually jump back into after going through it once. With its systemic nature, reactive world, and engaging role-playing mechanics, Weird West is a game that emphasizes player choice and unpredictable emergent gameplay heavily, which means you're always encouraged to mess around with things and perhaps try them more than once. Weird West is a long enough game even if you don't do that, of course, with playthroughs that can easily last over 20 hours. But if you do dive into the game headfirst, you can spend at least a dozen more hours in its dark fantasy Wild West, if not more. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands might not be a mainline numbered Borderland entry, but it's no small game either. No, it doesn't have nearly as much content on offer as its big brothers, and you can easily play through its mainline campaign in 15 to 20 hours. But like any looter shooter out there, it has enough stuff on offer beyond that to keep players occupied for much longer. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands might not be huge per se, but it's pretty darn big in its own right, and consistently fun almost the entire time, which is what really counts, right? Stranger of Paradise: Final Fantasy Origin. Stranger of Paradise: Final Fantasy Origin was met with underwhelming reception, but regardless of that, it turned out to be a rather long experience. Along with real-time hack-and-slash combat, the game offers 27 different jobs, from wielding a massive greatsword as a swordsman to beating down foes with your bare hands as a pugilist. Various advanced and expert jobs become available as one progresses. Upon finishing the campaign, players can tackle tougher difficulties and discover stronger weapons and equipment. All in all, you're looking at around 20 to 25 hours of gameplay. That's all for now. If you enjoy what you saw, please hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, now is a great time to subscribe. We upload brand new videos every single day. After subscribing, don't forget to enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you next time, right here on GamingBolt.